everyone. I'm Janelle Friesen, the Public Information Officer with the UG Public Health Department. It is January 21st, and this is our weekly update. Would the other folks on here like to introduce yourselves?
Thanks, Janelle. I'm Julianne Van Loo, the Director for the Health Department.
Hi, everyone. I'm Erin Corvo, the Deputy Health Officer for the Health Department.
All right, so today we have a couple things to talk about. We want to let folks know if they're interested in getting the COVID-19 vaccine, where they can sign up so that they'll get notified when it's their turn and they're eligible to come in. And then we'll talk a little bit about how Kansas has moved into phase 2 and what that means for Wyandotte County. So if you bear with me for a second, I am going to share my screen so we can take a look at that online survey where people can sign up. Julianne, do you want to just talk for a minute about what this form is and who we're asking to fill it out?
Absolutely. If you live or work in Wyandotte County and are interested in receiving the COVID vaccine as either an individual or through your workplace, your business, you are eligible to fill out this vaccine. We would highly encourage you, fill out this form to receive your vaccine. So this is the best way for you to proactively let us know that when it's your turn, you're ready and that you want it. It will essentially put you in a database. So for example, if you're 75 years old and we are able to start vaccinating folks who are 65 years and older, you'll already be in our system. We'll have your contact information and we'll be able to reach out to you directly to get you scheduled. So we are not doing walk-in vaccinations at this time and probably not for the foreseeable future. We will require appointments. So getting this form filled out will make sure that you can get an appointment when it's your turn.
Yeah, and we'll put the link to this form on the screen, but we just kind of want to walk through. When you go to the form, there's an option to fill it out as an individual. You can fill it out for your employees if you're a local employer, or if you're another type of organization that's not an employer, maybe a church or a neighborhood group, you can fill it out for a group of people as well. We'll walk through a little bit of what it looks like if you're just an individual filling it out for yourself or maybe for a family member or a friend. So we're going to fill in fake things on here.
It's a great point, Janelle, about filling it out for friends. So a lot of us have older people in our lives who struggle a bit with technology, or maybe you have people in your life who don't have very good access to internet connection. We know that some people are going to struggle to be able to access this. So a couple of options. Yes, please fill it out on behalf of your family members. If you're a medical or social service provider, fill it out with your patients or your clients right there on the spot. And folks can also call 311, our local government hotline, who can fill it out over the phone for you as well.
Yeah, so when you fill this out, you can put your contact information that you prefer, your phone number or your email address or both, and then how you're okay with being contacted and how you prefer to get contact. So if you're like, I want to get a text message, you can check that box there. And then as you go through, you'll put in information like your age, which again, this type of information about age, health information in general, if you have any of the listed health conditions, that type of thing helps us know when you might be eligible. So that gives us an idea of who's going to be coming through in any particular phase. And so then as you fill this out, let's say you're 65, you have a couple people in your household, you can fill out the information. And then as you walk through, we'll also ask about things like employment, which there's definitely job-related criteria for being able to get the vaccine, so that you can mention what type of industry you're in. This is based on criteria from the state, I believe, right? For
essential businesses.
And then we can know if you're working, in person a lot or able to work remotely. And we'll also get a little bit of demographic information. So this, helps us again to understand who's coming through our site and making sure we're reaching the people who need this the most. We're also trying to learn things about what helps people access the vaccine more easily. So that's why we're asking questions like this. I don't know if there's anything else you would like to mention about that, Julianne or Dr. C.
I'll add that I just think this is a really easy form. You know, I see patients over at KU Hospital, and when I do, I ask all of my patients, are you interested in this? And then if they are, I just go ahead and sign them up in the visit on the spot. And so again, we're asking our entire community to get involved in this and sign up people who you know, or who you work with or who you interact with. It's really, really important. And as Julianne mentioned, you know, we don't only want this to be an internet-based thing. If you want to call 311 and get signed up, if that's more comfortable for you, we encourage you to do that as well. But it's just really, really easy. So don't let this deter you from getting online as soon as you can.
All right, great. So I know we don't have a lot of time, so why don't we move on to talking about phase 2? It was recently announced that Kansas is moving into phase 2 of vaccine distribution. So let's talk a little bit about what does that mean for Wyandotte County and who's eligible right now?
Sure. So folks may have seen the governor put out a revised COVID vaccine plan, which has a little bit of changes in terms of who's in phase 1, 2, 3, and so forth. Phase 2 includes 3 primary groups. The first is high contact critical workers, and the plan outlines specifically which workers are in that category, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Secondly, our 65 and older population, that's pretty self-explanatory. And thirdly, our congregate facilities. So that would include our jail, our youth detention center, and other congregate facilities that maybe aren't long-term care, but maybe where folks with disabilities live together closely with one another. So those 3 new populations are who will be eligible in phase 2. Now that is a very large amount of people, right? You can imagine that's tens and tens of thousands of people who suddenly are eligible for the vaccine. And to give folks an idea, for next week, we are receiving tomorrow 975 vaccines. So way, way, way more people will be eligible, unfortunately, than we actually have the ability to vaccinate. So because of that, we are doing some prioritizing within phase 2. So we have already started vaccinating our public safety folks. Those include police, fire, EMS, and our sheriff staff. We have already started vaccinating our K through 12 educators who are educating students in person right now. And we have already started vaccinating our childcare providers. We are shortly going to move on to include our public transit, US Postal Service, and DMV staff, which we think we'll get to next week. And then the group that we are pretty excited to be able to really start to mobilize here will be our grocery, food service, and food processing. So within Wyandotte County, when we look at our clusters and outbreaks of cases of COVID in our community, the lion's share of those are within grocery, food service, and food processing sectors. So it's really important we start to vaccinate those folks who are at highest risk and who are causing a lot of this community spread, and we put them towards the top of the list. So we will be doing some real proactive outreach here in the next week or 2 to those particular sectors as we want to prioritize them.
All right. Great. Well, I would just remind folks to please, if you're an employer in the area with one of those types of organizations that Julianne mentioned, or if you're an individual who will be eligible coming soon within phase 2, please fill out that form to let us know that you're interested in getting vaccinated so we can be, ready to get you in as soon as we have the supply to do so.
Absolutely right. And just a reminder, it is if you live or work here. So if you live in Wyandotte, but you cross the line into Missouri to work in a restaurant downtown in KC-Mo, you're still eligible because you're our resident, and vice versa. If you live over in downtown KC-Mo, but you drive over here in Wyandotte County and work in a grocery store, you're still eligible. So living or working in Wyandotte County and in one of those sectors that we mentioned, we're hoping that we'll be able to offer the vaccine here as early as next week.
All right. Well, thanks so much for the discussion today. Anything else you'd like to add, or should we say goodbye for now and join folks next week?
I think we're good. Fill out your form. We're excited to offer this to the community.
Same thing. Fill it out, everybody. Thanks for
All right.
joining.
Thank you.
Thanks.